Where do you want to start off? Obviously, we had games this morning.
I
Bayern.
I want to start with PSG
Yeah.
1, Real Madrid nil.
So Mbappe's dress rehearsal for Real Madrid went. Did it go according to plan?
It's kind of weird. I mean, it's an absurd way to frame it. I think Florentino Perez wrote that introduction for you because, I mean, Madrid should be so lucky that Mbappe would deign them with his presence in the team.
Paid off.
I mean, it kind of preserves Madrid's status as a super club if he moves there on a free.
Mm-hmm.
Because, God knows they wouldn't have the money to sign him with a transfer fee, and
Yeah.
PSG wouldn't accept.
Yeah.
I honestly think the bid that they made before the season started was simply to show Mbappe how much they wanted him.
Yeah.
I think if PSG had called their bluff and accepted, they might have withdrawn it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Madrid can afford that. No one in the clubs in Spain can. There's strict salary cap and spending like controls now in that league, and it's also based on like your level of debt and so forth.
Yeah.
Which Barcelona have run up against, as we know. So, and obviously the clubs without the sugar daddy owners have been more impacted by the COVID crisis than the likes of Manchester City and PSG, who are insulated against it by their owners' millions. So, Kylian Mbappe certainly put on a show in that last couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the 90, it was a pretty underwhelming game.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe just how negative Madrid were, just how defensively they approached that tie. They had a few players out. Karim Benzema started even though he clearly wasn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it was just how deep they were sitting. I think they were terrified of Mbappe's pace.
Yeah.
And therefore, they were basically standing on the edge of their own box. And they rarely even ventured into PSG's half for most of the tie. They managed to keep them out for most of it. They defended pretty well. But this didn't look like two super clubs playing in some titanic Champions League battle. This looked like, a typical Ligue 1 match where PSG is facing 10 players behind the ball.
Yeah.
And I was quite astonished by that approach. I didn't think they would be quite that negative.
Yeah.
And it took a moment of inspiration after Messi missed the penalty from Mbappe to break the game open in the last minute.
So I want to talk about PSG because now it's obviously, out there that Poch is having a hard time, behind the scenes stuff going on. How much does that play into their own planning for the future if Mbappe leaves? Where does you can call it a franchise, right? They're a super club. If they win the Champions League, do they stick with Poch? What does the future look like?
Yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't seem like any of the coaches who have come through there have particularly enjoyed the experience. Coaches tend to like players who do what they tell them to do.
Yeah.
I think you see a bias in that towards the kinds of players who get more minutes across European football. Manchester United being an example, Scott McTominay is going to play ahead of someone like Donny van de Beek because Scott McTominay is going to say, yes, boss, and do exactly what he's told.
Yep.
So the kind of free spirits, shall we say, like Neymar, are not favourites of coaches who want to instill their philosophy and their imprint on the team, particularly not of coaches who want to play disciplined pressing systems, whether it's Tuchel, who likes to press very high, or Poch, who likes a sort of, I guess, a mid-block thing, but it's quite organised and drilled. To have to essentially defend with 7 players and attack with 3 doesn't fit with his philosophy of defending from the front whatsoever. So I always thought he was going to have a hard time going there because the work ethic of the front 3 is not there, and also the I guess physical capacity of those players. I mean, Neymar's always getting injured. Messi, as we know, is the tail end of his career and doesn't really run much, if at all.
He misses penalties.
But he still can impact a game, and he was his link-up play with Mbappe in this one was, and with Verratti as well, who I thought was exceptional in this fixture, the player of the match.
You love a bit of Verratti.
I do. He's always got one stupid tackle in him where he randomly studs somebody for no reason and gets a suspension. And he often gets injured at the business end of the season. I think sometimes smaller players pick up more injuries because they're just getting kicked every week. But in terms of his passing ability, those short, sharp balls kind of punch through the lines to progress through teams. In terms of his ability to keep the ball under pressure and his dribbling, I think he's top tier central midfielder, top 3 in the world. And I think he's quite underrated because he's a bit out of sight, out of mind playing in France. Which and he's not one of the star names. So you see the highlights on the weekend as Mbappe scored a hat trick, and you don't notice that Verratti in the lead up play 20 seconds before the goal was key to it all. So I thought he was really good in this game. But it was interesting to see that Neymar was benched and. Arguably, that gave PSG a little more balance in the side. They were playing a kind of diamond. Di Maria was playing kind of wide right and up front, I guess. Messi is the sort of 10 or false 9, depending on how you want to frame it. And they had Paredes, Verratti, and basically they've always got one jobbing central midfielder who just basically stays back and guards against the counter attack. So it doesn't even matter who that person is because I can't remember off the top of my head who started. But just literally a body to stand in the way once they lose the ball and do some running, I guess, that the others don't. And it gave them a little bit more balance in this fixture, but it's tough to judge whether Poch has found a game-winning formula against the very best sides, just because Madrid didn't risk much. So they didn't have that much to guard against on the defensive end.
And so where does this game hang in the balance in the second leg, heading back to the Bernabeu? Obviously, the away goal rule is no longer a factor.
I think UEFA might have messed up there. I don't know. It's too early to tell, but Madrid's approach in that game suggested that we are heading back to the bad old days of teams setting up shop away from home and hoping to overturn the deficit in the home leg. Or vice versa.
So on the pitch, though, do you reckon that many changes will have to be made in that second game for Real Madrid to turn it around?
Yeah, they've got to get Benzema fit first and foremost. If that involves resting him for some of the Liga fixtures or playing him reduced minutes in the lead up to that game, he's absolutely key. And they don't have a backup striker. Luka Jovic has been a massive flop. Gareth Bale is the other option, and there was, he played a few minutes off the bench. I'm just astonished that he's still kicking around. Doesn't he have golf to play?
Just a few more paychecks, mate, and he'll be out of there.
It's a sad end to his career. I mean, he's had a magnificent one. He's won 4 Champions Leagues. He always seemed to score in the finals. So big contribution.
He deserves to play golf.
Yeah, I guess he's earned it. But certainly he's resented in Madrid for sitting on that fat paycheck and refusing to move.
Fair enough.
Eden Hazard has been a huge disappointment. He's had injury problems as well. So essentially, I think they just need to have Benzema fit to take a little bit more of a positive approach to where they're putting their back line essentially and how high the midfield presses out of possession. I just don't think it served them well sitting on the edge of their own box for 90 minutes. But I'm not sure they're going to win this match regardless because Casemiro is suspended. And he's...
Big part.
Yeah, best defensive midfielder in the world over the last 10 years, I would say, is Casemiro. And I guess they've got some options to bring in that position, but none of them are quite at Casemiro's level.
Of course.
Maybe Valverde will...
Hey, I love me a bit of Fede Valverde.
Yeah, he's good. He's a very kind of vertical player, which is maybe what Madrid need. He's a bit more urgent in trying to get the ball forward. But I just don't think he has quite the positional intelligence that Casemiro has. And the other question is it right back? Because I thought Carvajal was very poor. But then after they subbed him off, Lucas Vazquez was statuesque for the goal. So I don't know what the answer is there. It shows that Hakimi, who's now playing for PSG, never should have let him go on loan in the first place. He should have been in Madrid's first team years ago. So they've made a huge mistake there. And, they can't get him back now because, there's no more buyback clauses or anything. Obviously, since he left. So because he went to Inter and straight on to PSG. It was a weird transfer. Essentially, he was there for a cup of coffee at Inter. And, Yeah, but
Yeah.
Madrid have no more, I guess, buyback rights over him, so they've missed out on a really good player there. I look now that they're down a goal and they've got all those problems that I mentioned with the suspensions. Unless PSG have one of the all-time,
Which we know they're capable of.
Yeah, they are serial chokers.
Yep.
Can't put it any other way.
Yep.
Unless they have, a reverse of the Barcelona remontada with Neymar.
Yeah.
Then I think they're going through. But Mbappe, that goal I think will be remembered as one of his great goals at the end of his career, one of his iconic moments. The way he split two defenders there. I mean, it was just a moment of magic, and it does go to show that the most important speed in football is over the first 5 meters.
Yeah.
I guess people get excited about players who can burst into wide open spaces, but usually deep defenses stifle the very quickest guys.
Explain the first 5 meter thing.
Yeah, so I think acceleration is, to put it in FIFA terms, acceleration is much more important than pace.
Yeah.
To be able to have an explosive start over the first 3 or 4 steps is way more important to beating defenders than being able to cover a whole lot of ground, run from one end of the field to another.
Yeah.
Because you rarely get to top speed in football.
Yeah.
It's feel weird when you see those like stats compilations of who's the fastest player in the Premier League or whatever. And on the top 10 list, there's always a couple of like, random centre backs that you're thinking like Phil Jagielka, what? And it's because they're the only players who end up, during moments of panic, end up running at full tilt back to their own goal. You rarely reach the very peak of your pace over 100 meters. That's why Usain Bolt failed in his quest to become a professional footballer. Because he was a slow starter.
Yeah.
Well, there are other reasons too. He had a bit of a bad first touch and so forth. But that that's why his speed wasn't as effective when he tried to transfer it to the football pitch. Do you remember when he trialed for the Mariners?
No, I remember.
It was a real meme moment for the A-League. Didn't make the A-League. Great. But Mbappe has that explosive first step, and you saw the two defenders, Eder Militao and Vasquez.
Yeah. Oh, I love Militao's face when he's
But Militao couldn't get out of the way quick enough.
Yeah.
He was so afraid of giving away a penalty because he knew any reaction that he gave to that run was going to be a penalty.
Yeah.
And so they essentially had to let
him go through.
Mbappe score.
Yeah.
It was unstoppable. And that kind of spring is so difficult because defending is essentially a reactive task. You're following what the person's just done. And that's why I like to see attacking football, because I do think it is, if executed properly, the best way to win a game.
Yeah.
And Madrid paid the price for playing reactively.
Yeah.